Fellow truth-tellers and patriots who refuse to swallow the lies fed to us by the mainstream media, listen up. Because tonight we're diving headfirst into the murky swamp of the Soros family. The modern-day sorcerers of chaos, the bloodline that's been poisoning the well of freedom for decades. George Soros, the patriarch, and now his heirs like Alexander, they are not just billionaires, they're the engineers of global disorder. Guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt of funding revolutions, rigging elections, and pushing a one-world agenda that turns sovereign nations into puppets. They've got their tentacles in everything from street protests to presidential races, all while hiding behind a mask of charity. I'm not mincing words here. These people are the enemy of humanity, and it's time we expose them for the monsters they are. Let's peel back the layers, start with the man himself. George Soros, born George Soros in 1930 in Hungary. He survived the Nazi occupation not by heroism, not by being a hero, oh no, but by collaborating, helping confiscate property from his fellow Jews as a teenager. He brags about it in an interview, saying it was the happiest time of his life. That's your first red flag. A man with no soul, no loyalty, who later fled to England, studied philosophy under Karl Popper, and twisted those ideas into his open society nonsense. But what does that really mean? It's code for tearing down borders, traditions, and values, and replacing them with chaos where the elites like him rule supreme. Soros made his fortune as a currency speculator, the man who broke the Bank of England in 1992. He shorted the British pound, crashing their economy and pocketing over $1 billion in one day. Millions of Brits suffered, jobs lost, homes foreclosed while he laughed all the way to his offshore accounts. That's not smart investing. That's an economic terrorism plot. And he didn't stop there. In the 1990s, he targeted Asian currencies during their financial crisis, profiting from the misery of entire nations. Guilty? Yes. He's admitted to it. Calling markets immoral, but when you're destroying lives for profits, that's not immoral, that's evil incarnate. Now enter the family dynasty. George has 5 kids. But the real heir to the throne is Alexander Soros, born in 1985, who's taken over the Open Society Foundation in recent years. Now, the OSF? Don't let the name fool you. It's a $25 billion slush fund for subversion, funneled through NGOs and activists worldwide. Jonathan Soros, another son, runs investment firms that back progressive causes. Even George's ex-wives and other relatives dip into the pot. This isn't a family business. It's a global syndicate, passing down the playbook of manipulation from father to sons. What are they guilty of? Well, let's count the ways and feel the rage build as we go. First, elections. Soros has poured hundreds of millions into U.S. politics through groups like MoveOn.org and Super PACs. In 2020 and 2024, his money backed district attorneys in cities like San Francisco and Philadelphia, soft on crime radicals who let criminals run wild, turning streets into war zones. Crime spikes, families terrified, all part of the plan to destabilize society so they can swoop in with solutions like federal control. Alexander's even deeper now. In 2026, with midterm elections heating up, he's funding voter registration drives that critics say stuff ballots with illegals and ghosts. They've meddled abroad too. In Hungary, Soros waged war on Prime Minister Orban, funding opposition parties to push open borders. In Ukraine, his foundation started the 2014 Maidan Revolution, leading the war with Russia. Millions displaced, economies ruined, all to weaken national sovereignty. Protests. The Soros are the kings of manufactured outrage. Black Lives Matter? Soros-linked groups donated over $33 million, turning legitimate grievances into riots that burned cities like Minneapolis to the ground in 2020. Businesses destroyed, cops defunded, Community shattered while the family sits in their Manhattan penthouses untouched. Antifa, same deal. Funded through shadowy networks to sow division. Climate protests, women's marches, even the migrant caravans storming borders, they're all scripted by Soros money, creating crisis to justify more control. In 2026, with global tensions boiling over in the Middle East and Europe, Alexander's OSL is bankrolling anti-Israel demonstrations on U.S. campuses, fanning flames of anti-Semitism and chaos. Why? To divide us, race against race, class against class, so we don't unite against them. And don't get me started on the globalist web. Soros founded the OSL in 1979, but it's a front for the New World Order. Population control? Soros pushes abortion rights and immigration policies that flood Western countries. Diluting cultures and votes. Media manipulation? He owns stakes in outlets through funds, censoring dissent while amplifying fake news. COVID? His foundations back lockdown policies and vaccine mandates, profiting from pharma investments, while small businesses died. In 2026, with AI surveillance ramping up, Alexander's pushing digital democracy initiatives that track your every move, and smart cities, social credit scores, and all under the guise of progress. But the real gut punch is the human cost. Think about it emotionally. Families torn apart by Soros-funded open borders, kids trafficked, drugs flooding in from cartels he indirectly empowers by weakening laws, veterans homeless after wars he helped prolong through anti-war groups that actually extend conflicts. Your hard-earned taxes siphoned to bail out banks, he crashes. The Soros aren't victims, they're predators, born into wealth but choosing to weaponize it against the little guy. George, now in his 90s, hands off the reins to Alexander, who parties with celebrities and politicians, all while plotting our downfall. It's generational evil, passed down like a cursed inheritance. Folks, this stirs the soul. The betrayal, the arrogance, the sheer audacity of a family thinking they can play God with our lives. But we're not helpless. Expose their donations, track the money trails on sites like opensecrets.org. Boycott companies they invest in, and vote out the politicians they buy. Share this truth far and wide, from Bluffton, South Carolina to every corner of the globe. The Soros family is guilty of treason against freedom, of engineering suffering for power, but united we can dismantle their empire. So share this information. Have a good night, guys.